Welcome to another episode of the First Fruits Stock Club. Hey, bye, everybody, thank you so much. Man, thank you so much. I'm still at it. Hey, look, I have been sick all week. All week. I went to Chicago and I came back. I don't know. I didn't I didn't take my vitamin C with me. And man, uh, started out with a sore throat. I don't know if you guys use the salt, gargling with salt, and then it disappeared. Then it turned into this head cold, and it's been knocking me out ever since. But I'm here. Yeah, I'm here, doing what I love and giving you guys some information, some financial information that if you take it, I think you will do well in the future. So anyway, let's get to the show. Today's show, just put the money in the market. Just put the money in the market. Decisions. All right. You are responsible for your own investment decision. All right. So, man, today's podcast is about just put the money in the market. I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story that you might not know about me. I am an inventor. I invented a few things. Now, I have not been able to bring anything to market, but I do own patents. They probably expired by now, but I do own patents. All right, and one um, of I guess one patent that I was very probably the closest of bringing to market. I invented a new bottle shape, and I was trying to sell this new bottle shape to Coca-Cola, right? And I was young. I had this idea that I was going to sell this bottle shape to Coca-Cola, and I was going to make millions of dollars. You couldn't tell me anything different. My wife would tell you that. So man, I proceeded. I got a model made of the new bottle shape. I got a patent on a new bottle shape. And actually, I traveled to New York, and there's a beverage conference. I don't know if they still have the conference, but there's a beverage conference, and it's called the Beverage Digest, right? So I traveled to the Beverage Digest, and all the CEOs of all the largest uh, uh, beverage companies are there. CEO at the time, I forgot what year this was. This is probably 10 years, even 15 years ago. CEO of Coke was there. CEO of Pepsi was there. I had an opportunity to talk to the CEO of Coke. I go up to him. I said, "Hey, look, I'm like 20 something years old. Um, so let me do the math. I was probably or 30s, 20s. I don't know, around that time." And I go up to him. I said, "Look, I got this idea. I think because at the time, if you did the research, Coca-Cola sales were kind of down at that period of time." I said, "Look, I have something I think that could rejuvenate sales for Coca-Cola." Very optimistic, enthusiastic. He was like, "Get out of my face." He's basically like, get out of my face." But he had a um, probably his marketing assistant with him, right? His press assistant, because he was going around meeting with a lot of press, and I saw the press person whisper in the ear, "Hey, you can't do that. Just talk to the kid, or just send him to somebody else." So at the end of the thing, he came up to me and said, "Hey, look, um, my marketing, my VP of marketing of Coca-Cola, I don't know which region, whatever. He will talk to you. He will listen out to your idea, and we'll see. We'll just go from there. All right. So, but I'm out of it. I said I get it. I mean, I'm just young. I don't know, but hey, I tried. So I go out, and so I get the information, get my card to the vice president, and he said, just give me a call. Call my receptionist, and of course, you're going to have to call. So I was calling for months. I would call every Monday. Every Monday, hey, how are you doing? It's me again, trying to schedule that appointment. So I'm meeting. So I kept calling, and finally, I think after I think I started to die. Maybe it was maybe like a year later. I don't know. It was a while later. So I finally got an appointment to go to present my idea, my concept to him, the bottle shape that I invented. So I go, and he's like, "Well, you have to come to Atlanta." I don't know if you live in Atlanta, and if you've never visited the Coca-Cola complex. I mean, it's phenomenal. That man, oh my goodness. So man, I was like almost starstruck when I went in there. But so I go in there, and you can't just like walk up to it and go. It's like a whole campus. So you have to take and this is a few years ago. It's probably a little bit different now. But you have to take a bus to the campus first. From the parking lot. It's like if you're going to an airport, right? You take the bus to the airport. I don't know, at least for BWI. So you take the bus to the main entrance or whatever. So I'm going to the main entrance, and man, it's like it's breathtaking. All the Coca-Cola paraphernalia, history, all that's there, like in the main entrance. And I go in, and then the lady comes out. She says she walks me down different hallways and say, "Hey, your meeting is here." So we sit down, and my dad went with me. He uh he was a soldier. He came with me, and he really supported me. And thank you for that. So my dad supported me, and so we go into the meeting. We meet, and so I give my pitch. I'm like, look, I know the sales have been down, and I think that this can rejuvenate some sales. It could go after the younger customers, and all this. I had my enthusiasm, had my pitch down. I practiced, and he listened. Everybody in there, he had himself, and he had a few assistants with him. They were taking the information. They had me sign the documents, whatever, when I was pitching to him. And he said, "Hey, look, hey, this is a phenomenal job. You've done a lot of research. You've done a lot of work. But I'm going to be honest with you. Coca-Cola is not going to change their bottle shape. That will never happen. Okay? That would never happen." And I was like, man. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. He said, I was consulting with Coke also, and I ended up, getting a job here. That basically, if you work here, then, but they don't really do a lot of outside stuff. So it was like the end of my dream. And I tried a few weeks later. I tried and said, "Hey, look, have you thought about it?" And but it was nothing. So at that point in time, I just kind of had to let things go. And as we can look back on our lives and the things we've done, and I spent a lot of money. I mean, back then, I had to get a model made. Man, I got the model made through um, Lonnie. He invented the Super Soaker, and he had this company where he would basically help people bring inventions and ideas to life. He has a company. He was based in Atlanta. I don't know if he still has a company, and he was working on battery technology at the time. I just wonder what ever happened, because that has come to head right now. Battery technology is really big. But he had a few guys that worked there to help you take your ideas. So it was expensive. I spent a few $1,000s, travel, all that, right? And in saying that, man, if I would have just taken that money and put it in the stock market. And I guess we all have to have ideas and live out our dreams. But a lot of times, man, the stock market does it all for us, right? It creates the company for us. It invents the products for us, right? It has the employees for us, right? It owns the patents and trademarks for it. Does the stock market does all of that, and we don't have to do any of it. All we have to do is give it capital to do those things. We don't have to be the owner. We don't have to be the investor. We don't have to come up with the idea. We don't have to even travel. I mean, you can travel. You can go to a board meeting, you know, but you don't have to do any of that stuff. You just have to invest. Like it's like the lazy man's approach to getting wealth, to getting wealthy, right? And they did all the hard work, all that work that I did to try to just get a meeting, right? They've done all that. So that's why today's topic, and I'll say it again, is just put the money in the market. Just put it in the market. All right. So all right, so let's go. So this next segment is called well, I'm just going to give an update on the market this week. So the Dow Jones hit a low on July 16th, and that was Wednesday when, of course, our president started discussing tariffs again. And I mean, he discussed the tariffs, and the market kind of bounced right back. And so you see it hit a low of like 43,008 something. All right, but it closed out at 48449, but hit a low of $43,000 on a week. Apologize. So so the Dow Jones Industrial, and it ended up for the week. All right, S&P 500, same thing, 16th, had that dip when uh, the president announced that. Well, no, I'm sorry, I'm mistakenly. He was saying that he's going to fire Jerome Powell. All right, not the uh, not the tariff issue, but he was going to fire Jerome Powell. So the market digested the information, and then I guess if the market figured out that he was not really going to do that. But I would just want you to know that this is not over with. Okay, the Nasdaq, same thing, but the Nasdaq has been on its own little uh, course. You know, it started out, and yes, it hit the low point, but it already hit a high point. In the beginning of Monday, it started up, and then once the president came in and the news came out that he was going to fire Jerome Powell, um, then the market retreated, but it came back. All right, so let's so yeah, the market it's been up, steady moving up. It has not been large moves, but the moves have been consistent, which is fine. You know, that's a normal market where you have a consistent one move up or move down. We never want to move down, but a consistent move up, whereas it doesn't have these large um, 800 days. I mean, I love those days. It's great if you, especially if you trade options like I do, like those are great. But then you have to look at the other side of that. That goes up, then it probably will come back down. So, man, today's stock of the day. We're going to move to the next one, but today's stock of the day. And I'm going to ask you a question, okay, before I get to stop. And I'm going to ask you a question of like, what were you doing maybe 10 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago? And I told you what I was doing, right? And where I spent my money 10 to 15 years ago on the idea I've had of bringing this patent to the market. But what were you doing, and what were you spending your money on 10 to 15 years ago? And you'll see why this is important. as I go through the next stop. Man, my glasses crooked. There we go. All right, so today's the next segment is let's make some money. All right. So let's make some money. Today's we're going to spotlight Netflix today, and I'm spotlighting the stock today because of Netflix just reported earnings today. So I just wanted to break down Netflix. And quick story about Netflix. I was getting my master's in finance at the time, and my investment professor did not like Netflix. The CEO, Reed Hastings, I think that's his name. He was in a process of transitioning the company from. Remember, they used to have the Netflix. Well, you would mail in. I've never used Netflix ever, but when I have it now, but when before the transition, I never had it, right? And before the transition, I never had it, and basically, of course, you had to mail in the CDs, and of course, they destroyed Blockbuster. My wife and I, we used to go off of right. They had a Blockbuster off of Ricerstown Road, and we would go over to Ricerstown to get a movie, to watch a movie Friday night. We would spend time after we work, of course, and you spend time with my girlfriend at the time, but we would spend time, and and what would happen, of course, it Netflix knocked them out of business because it was a new business model where they didn't need the expense of having this building where you have rent, right? You have all those expenses, employees, you know. Basically, you could just mail in a CD and send it back when you want. I think that was the business model. And so then at a certain point, he was like, "Look, I'm going to streaming. We're going to stream everything live now. All our shows. We're not going to do CDs anymore." My professor was like, "Hey, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think he should transition." And I was definitely against that because I thought it was great. I mean, just the expense standpoint, because I've always been in real estate. Real estate is costly, right? Not only is the maintenance of the real estate, um, you have the people there, you have to keep and you keep the place up. I mean, it's a lot. Real estate takes it's a lot of capital outlay, right, before you can make a dollar. And he was basically getting rid of all of that. It was none of that. And even the physical standpoint of having CDs, I bet that was a logistical. I mean, even though I think he was great at the logistics of it, but it was still really, I think, a really hard thing to do to have CDs coming in, had to clean them, people were damaged. I could just imagine what it was like when they first started. But he said, "Look, I'm doing away with all of that, and I don't need any cost CD. I'm just going to stream it to you." And man, I mean, if I would have thought about that just a little bit more, because I wasn't really big into technology then. I was more what's called a value investor, where trying to find something that's worth $15 and pay a dollar for it. I wasn't there yet, but the business model made sense, right, with Netflix, and so he proceeded, and and it worked. So I'm telling you this lesson is that if you can find, and this is what I try to do, if you can find a leader in the industry, someone who's changing the norm, and that was a change in the norm for entertainment and moving away from D, because basically that destroyed the DVD industry, Netflix and streaming. You don't have DVDs anymore. They started Netflix and then they started streaming music. There's no need for any of that, right? So if you can find a company that of course that reinvents itself and moves into a particular industry, but also reduces costs and makes the company more efficient. Streaming is much more efficient model, right? You don't have to send anything. They can just put it on their platform. You log onto the platform and you watch whatever you want. All right. So let's go through Netflix. So currently, Netflix started out the week at close to, and this may not be the bottom, but 1,234.73 cents. And it closed at close to 274.17. All right. So let's break down Netflix. So the growth drivers of the company: content and engagement. Hits like Squid Game, I love it. 122 million views, and new shows like, I never watched Sirens. Anybody know what Sirens is? I don't. I'm gonna check that out to drive viewership. Never watched that. So the growth drivers of the company's monetization tools, the ad-supported plan of $8 a month, is boosting revenue. Nearly half of new U.S. subscribers, and in quarter one 2025, ad revenue is expected to double to $3.9 billion this year. Business Insider. And another is the live programming expansion into live sports, NFL, Christmas game, and WWE. And boxing is a part of Netflix diversification moves. This is where Netflix is going, right? Just think about all the cost of those. When the NBCs and ABCs, they lose money on those large programming. They're going to just go to Netflix, right? Netflix, those programs will go to Netflix, and as you see, it's already happening. So when you have a company that's really changing the industry, that is a good move, right? The outlook raised guidance. Netflix now expects 44.8 to 45 billion in 4-year revenue. All right, and the targets is mixed settlement. Bank of America sees the price hitting 14.90, Wedbush 1,400, and also other sides up with 1,330. Okay, however, Seaport downgraded by neutral citing evaluation concerns and Barron's. All right, so according to the historical data, this is what I wanted to get to. Okay, I didn't mean to do. So, as I was discussing this story, and this is why I said just invest in the market. We make life hard for ourselves when life could be a lot easier, right? If we would just take our money and put it into the stock market, right? And I wish I could have had this discussion with my younger self, my 30-year-old self. I mean, and I invested some. I was a former financial advisor. And I invested, I'm a former financial advisor, and I invested. But when you're young, nobody can tell you anything, right? You just think I just want to be this awesome entrepreneur, and everybody doesn't have to be an entrepreneur, but you can be an investor, right? Everybody can be an investor. Everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur, which I don't want to kill anybody's dreams, but you could have a business just investing. Like investing could be your side business. It's mine, right? It's the best business. No expenses. I mean, the expense is that when sometimes you will make some bad moves. That's your expenses, right? But you just have to put the money up, right? And there's no rent, there's no employees. It's just when you have a good idea and you execute on that idea and make a good investment, you get a return. All right. And that's basically the simple of the business. So I wanted to get into this. So according to historical returns, and this is why I said the story in the beginning, Netflix has delivered a 10-year total return of approximately 1,000%, meaning your investment would have grown 11-fold. All right. So that converts $1,000 into about $11,000. So every $1,000 you would have turned to $11,000. So I probably spent about $5,000 to $10,000 on this patent and all that stuff. Could have been $100,000 plus for me. Anyway, all right. So that's it. One thing I want to say is through the grapevine is that putting the money in the market. This is why it's important. So look, the Netflix reported today after the hours is down $23. which is not a big deal. It's down $23, um, but um, uh, but I still think that this is going to be a great opportunity in the next coming months. And I will be putting some options in Netflix, and I'll be putting it in a club. But I think it's a great play. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm in and out today, just for the fact of I'm still not feeling well. I'm trying to get myself back together, so I can get back to my life. But man, I thank you guys for joining me for another show. And hey, if you want to expand your horizons, you want to move forward with your investment journey, you want a side business and investing, you want to make extra money, you know, you can start small, $50, right? $50 can grow to thousands and thousands of dollars, as well as income, generate income every month. Man, join the stock club. All right, hey, give you guys a hand. You could be doing anything, but you gave me a few minutes of your time, and you are investing in yourself. Until next time.